What's up, guys? Tony here from Tony's Toolbox. How's everybody doing? I am on vacation. Still on my phone. I do have that new camera, like I said in the last video, but I haven't had time to look into how I'm going to transfer that straight to YouTube. I'm sure it's not hard. I've never done it. My phone just puts them straight on YouTube. So now that I got time, I'll look into it and I'll get them switched over to the proper camera. I also got to order a tripod. But on my last video, when I was doing a little bit of house cleaning, I asked you guys for some suggestions to do now that I'm on vacation. And the response was actually surprising. I didn't think we'd get that many. But we got a ton, and a few people even threw out a few different suggestions. And the one that came up the most, it was either 2 or 3 separate times, is the one I'm going to start this all off with. And for sure, came from 2 viewers. I wrote them down over here. I can't even read my own handwriting. Mr. Bananification and John Gibson both suggested I do some sort of top tools or tools I couldn't live without, or like a top 10 list or something along those lines. So what I did was I picked some stuff off. They're over here to the side. I'm going to bring them over one by one, and we will talk about them, and then I'll kind of shove them off to the side. So I do have a lot of crap everywhere. I got a lot of tools. I use all of them, well, most of them all the time. I do own that kind of stuff that you pick up once or twice a year, and that's fine too. Sometimes you need it, especially myself. Like, I'm a do-it-yourselfer, so there's that stuff that even if you use it once or twice, it was still cheaper than calling somebody else to do it. And then you have the tool, so that's kind of cool too. But what I did for this particular selection is the 10 tools I couldn't live without for what I have to do. Okay. I own a landscaping company by trade, so I keep my machines going, especially when it's small, dumb stuff. A lot of the stuff I own is like pleasure. You know, I like doing this kind of stuff. I like working on my own Jeep and the trucks and all that other stuff that you guys see out there. I like welding, you know what I mean? But I don't need that stuff. This stuff that I'm showing you today is essential for what I actually need, not stuff I enjoy doing. Okay? So I want to get that out of the way first. All right, tool number 1. 4.5-inch angle grinder. These I go through quite a bit. This one's a little over a year old, maybe 2 years. I don't even know. I break them a lot because they get used constantly. We use them to sharpen the blades on the mowers. We use them to grind stuff down before I weld. You know, they just get beat the hell up, and I improperly use them a lot too. So they don't last. And what I found is I used to always get like the $60, $70 ones from like Makita and Milwaukee, and they don't last much longer, in my opinion, than like the $25 ones that are just like a Ryobi or whatever the hell this one is this time, a tool shop or whatever. They all seem to last about 2-3 years the way we use them. So I end up just getting like the mediocre ones, and they're okay in my book. So I spend the money on different stuff. So tool number 1. Tool number 2. This is a spark plug socket set. When you're working on small engines all day, you're going to be dealing with a ton of spark plug removal. So this thing's kind of a cool little kit. It's got like a variation of swivels, regulars, and deep ones. I don't use the deep ones as much. I think these are for like the bigger Ford motors. Once in a while they help because like on some of the Husqvarna, they kind of bury them really deep. So they're unnecessarily long for what I need, but you find that these are a little too short. So these actually do help on occasion. So spark plug, a good assortment of spark plug sockets definitely helps. All right, tool number 3. This one I did a review on. It's one of my first videos and my most popular video, and I don't know what I did before this thing. This is a 3/8 impact. This thing, it just makes everything faster. You don't need one in your life. You just need a socket set and a few, ratchets and breaker bars, and you can do everything this thing does. But you can't do it as quickly and as efficiently as this thing does. This thing cuts job time in, it's ridiculous. Something that used to take like 10 minutes takes like, 2. So, and you calculate that throughout the year, and this thing saves a ton of time. It pays itself off very quickly. All right. This is also another from the Milwaukee line. This is the Hex Impacts. I own a lot of the Milwaukee stuff, but these are the two that I felt are deserving of this video, because I use this for pretty much everything, including like the woodworking I do, but that doesn't really. I have an electric screwdriver too, or a battery powered one. But I end up using this for everything. It's smaller. It's very compact. It gets in a lot of areas that other tools won't. So it's an impact, but it's also like a screwdriver, and it's also, I got the little attachments to put sockets on them. So when this guy's too big, this turns into like a ratchet. So it gets used in a wide variety of stuff, not just its sole intention. You know what I mean? Most people just use these to drive screws all day long. I put all the different heads on it and change its function. So this gets used a ton. Next up, a few of these I'm cheating because there's multiple variances of them, but these are spring removers. Now, on a lot of the walk-behinds, and not so much the ride-ons, I got one back here I can kind of show. Yeah, they're going to be tight. There's a lot of springs that hold everything on, and they're under an awful lot of tension. If I had a walk-behind in my garage, I'd show you, but essentially you got like a whole belt system that comes on here, and every time you got to pop the rim and wheel off to change the tires or change the belt, or under these decks, there's a bunch of belts that actually spin the blades. And there's going to be a ton of tension screws on them. And what these do is they just grab one side, you yank out, and then you slowly let the spring compress off to the side. And then you can do the same thing to reinstall it. You grab it, pull back, put it over the hook, and just let go. So I got them in a couple size heads, depending on the size spring. The camera's not really showing the difference, but they are quite different. This one's thinner and smaller, and this one's thicker and bigger. So spring removal tools. These a ton of people make them. These are the first ones I ever bought, but they've lasted. I've never had to replace them. So, all right. Next up, one of the cheapest tools I own that gets an insane amount of use. That's just a little blade balancer. We sharpen, 20, 30 blades a week, every single week, and they got to get balanced. You want to make sure that they're not throwing off, because that is how you ruin small and big engines alike. When there's too much weight on one side, especially on the little 5, 6 horsepower, the small engines, it starts throwing the proportion off, and you get a little death wobble, and then it's pretty much over after that. Next tool up, this is a T27. We use a lot of the Echo stuff. This company, if you're unfamiliar with them, they love T27. Their weed whackers, their trimmers, their blowers, the backpacks, and the handhelds can pretty much completely be taken apart with the T27. There are a few different bolts on there here and there. You might need a couple little things. But when anything goes wrong on these, especially like the pull strings and stuff, when those jump off the spring or the rope snaps or something and you got to take them apart quick on the job, the T27 is your solution 99% of the time. All right. Here's one I had to cheat with. Wrenches. I can't count this as one, but the least I could probably get by with would be these 3. 9/16, a 1/2 inch, and a 10 mil. All right. Those can take, again, it's a big generalization. You need a full assortment of tools to take everything apart. But these 3 sizes on most lawn equipment, lawn mowers, I should say, will take 80% of stuff apart. Just these 3 sizes. 80% of the commonly broken stuff, wheels, you know, these will remove most blades, most pull strings, most of the stuff that's going to break that's minor that happens on the job that you can repair in 10 minutes. These 3 sizes will get you through most of it. Most of the, like I know in the automotive field, everything's converting over to metric. But in the lawn mowing field, a lot of the stuff is still made here in the United States, believe it or not, with the exception of like Echo and Still and stuff like that. But like the bigger lawn mowing brands, the commercial stuff, I should say, you're talking Wright, you're talking Skag, you're talking Bobcat, you're talking Hister. All those things are still made here domestically. So they tend to use the Imperial or whatever standard for their bolts that they use an assortment of throughout everything. But the American engines, or the American companies typically don't use the American engines. You can get like a Briggs. Those are still made domestically and stuff like that. But typically they go with Kawasaki because Kawasaki's got the best big motors for like the ride-ons and walk-behinds. I don't care what anyone says. That's from decades of using these things. And I see which ones last longer and which ones don't. And the Kawasaki's are Japanese. So the 10 mil helps taking off their springs and stuff like that. So these, if I had to live or die by 3 sizes, these are them. But like I said, you know, when you get more in depth, removing heads and stuff like that, you're going to need obviously more sizes. But these 3 will get you by small things that happen on the job that you can repair real quickly to get the machines up and back and running. So I'm just going to count that as a tool. The same thing's coming on over here. You're going to want a good set of ratchets and sockets. I do use 1/2 inch and stuff, but I tend to be grabbing the 3/8 and the 1/4 inch the most. I just took a couple different styles of them. Same thing. You guys know what a ratchet and a socket is. I'm not going to talk about them much. But the same thing would go for these as would go for these 10 mil, 1/2 inch, and 9/16. 2 more tools left. We got this little guy right here. This is just a cutter. This thing I use probably a lot more improperly than I should. I use it for... I haven't found anything that this can't cut that's not unreasonable. Like, obviously, it's not going to, you know, cut this piece of wood or whatever, but anything that'll fit in its jaws, it'll cut. You know, I've used it for thin tin. I use it to cut the lines. You get a nice clean cut. We use it to cut the ropes when you're, you know, readjusting the pull springs and you need a certain length. I use them to cut cotter pins off that hold wheels on a lot. Some of the cheaper stuff, like I know I have them on, this is just an example, this is a welding cart, but on some of this stuff, so you got these cotter pins that hold them on. So on some of the push mowers and stuff like that, you have a very similar thing. So you put like a, I try to reuse them sometimes, but or else I'll just, you know, cut it and pull. And put a new one, because I got like boxes of cotter pins and shit over there, so I don't really care if they're reusable or not. Or if they are, great. If not, I don't really care. I'll just put a new one in. So I use those to cut them out. These things are actually good at taking off like weird stuff that, you know, you wouldn't think until you try it out, and you're like, wow, that actually did an exceptional job at it. So I haven't come across much that this can't handle. The last thing is some sort of drop light. This one's, what the fuck is this? I don't know if it's LED or not. I don't even see anything. I don't know. This thing was like 30 bucks, maybe 40 bucks. Rechargeable. It's cool. It's got the big one over here. Where's the button? God damn it. It's got this one. Sorry. It's got the one over here then. And then it turns both on at one time. The only thing I don't like is you have to go through the entire cycle. So say you're using this one. Now to shut it off, you have to go like this. It's rechargeable. It's got this sweet magnet over here. You know, I'd love to just work in the sun all day, but we're out there actually working. So when I get home to fix the equipment, it's dark out. So I need some sort of light. So there you have it. Those are the 10 tools that I absolutely could not live without. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll get to some more of the viewer suggestions when I feel like it. I'll be pumping them out here and there. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you next time.